often do you get overwhelmed with notes or scales or intervals when trying to learn how to solo over chord progressions? There seems to be too much to remember and it becomes too confusing in your mind and you feel completely lost. If you struggle with this, then I have a different approach for you, a different way of navigating your way around the fretboard without having to know a single note. I'm talking patterns. There's a good chance I can help you look at the fretboard in a completely different way and unlock some truly melodic cheat codes using double stops that requires no more than understanding a couple of patterns that are transferable across the neck and playable in any key. Stick around to find out. Okay, so what am I talking about? You don't need to know any notes. So what I'm going to show you is how to anchor things off your basic bar chords, all right? So let's take a basic bar chord. Let's play a G, right? So I'm going to assume you know these basic bar chords. If you don't, then go back and learn the bar chords, but we're going to be basing all of these patterns just off a couple of bar chords, okay? So we've got the E, or we've got the E shape, this first position bar chord, which plays a major anywhere, and we've also got this one here, which plays a major in the second position, which is based off the A chord, okay? Let's assume we're playing a basic progression in G, right? So what can I do over a G progression? A progression that's diatonic to G. Oh. So rather than using scales, we're going to be using shapes, right? So if you see me playing the bar chord like this, right, it's exactly the same as that. And I'll try and play it like that, but I actually use my thumb. So I'm playing exactly the same. So if you see me doing that, don't get confused. That's just the same as that. Right, so, okay, well, what can we play when there's a progression in G? Now, in my intro, I said that we use double stops, right? Now, double stops are just two note, right? They're just two note solos, if you like. And they can be really, really melodic, right? So if I'm in G, all I'm doing is I'm looking at my fingers here and I'm playing these two notes, right? So I'm playing. So if I isolate those two notes and then play them with my two fingers here, right? I'm actually playing the third and the root there, right? So if I get that shape, so it's middle finger on the 4th fret, first finger on the 3rd fret. We're ignoring every other string, right? We can pluck them with our fingers here. So it's on a G. So over that bar chord, I play these two notes. That's our starting point. So let's go up in the scale. You don't need to know the notes. All you need to know is your starting position. So our starting position is from here, right? And from there, we move up to here. So two fingers on the same fret. Two fingers on the same fret. We move up to there. So let's do those three, right? So we've got... And I can see that shape. I can see that that's one fret apart. Those two fingers. These two are on the same fret, on the 5th fret. These two are on the same fret, 7th fret, and then go back, right? So when we get to the third one, we do exactly the same thing as the first one, but we just move up a fret. So we go. All right? And then up again. Right, so we've got. So far I've only played two shapes. That shape and that shape. I'm just playing them on different frets, right? So we've got, let's call this shape 1, and let's call this shape 2, right? So we've got shape 1, shape 2, shape 2, shape 1, shape 1, shape 2, shape 2, shape 1. So we can play through that whole thing using 2 shapes, right? That shape and that shape. Quick note, if you are getting something from these videos, please consider subscribing and hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to reach more people. So I lost a bunch of recordings. I had to go back and do it again. So hopefully it all kind of looks the same. But we got to, before my video cut out, we got to kind of the end of this one, I think. So let's go to the second pattern within that bar chord. All right, so the first one was there. Now here, we're going to do one based off these 2 notes, right? So the D and the G strings. Isolate the D and the G strings, right? So that's our starting point. That's our anchor. Right, so we can go start there. We can go up a fret. And our fingering for this one is like this. 2 frets apart, 1 fret apart, 2 frets apart, okay? So we can start here, we go up 2 of the same pattern, another 2 frets, same pattern, up a fret, same pattern as the anchor, and then we can go up 2 more, so we've got, and then we go to the second pattern, and then we're at the octave. Now you might be thinking, what do I do if I want to go down from there? Well, you can, right? So we've got, and it just repeats. So it's always 2 of the same, except for where the anchor point is. So where the anchor point is, we can change our position. So first position, second position. I'm talking fingering here. So we can start on the first position, and for the next 2 that we go up on, we've got the second position. But down from that, we can also go down 2 in the second position. Okay? Might be simpler if I do it up here because I kind of ran out of room down there. So if I'm on a B chord, right? So here, these 2, that's our anchor point. We go up 2 there, but we can also go down 2 there with the same fingering. The only difference in all of those 5 is the anchor point, right? We just need to know where that anchor point is. So the fingering, although it's, obviously slightly different, the concept is the same, right? So on the anchor point, it's always going to be that first position fingering. And for the next 2 frets up, it's going to be the second position fingering. Not 2 frets, but next 2 positions up. We go up 1 fret. If we go down, you can see what my fingers are doing, right? So we can, if we start here, let's go back down to G. So we go. So it's the same concept as first position fingering, second position fingering. First position fingering, second position fingering. It's always going to be start on first position fingering. The next two are going to be second position fingering. The next two are going to be first position fingering. The next two are going to be second position fingering. And then the next one is the octave. And it goes the same down. So the third one I want to show you, so we look at our bar chord position, right? We go up 2 frets from that on this string, and we start here. Right? So if I'm looking at that, and I want to start in this position, I'm thinking that note there. It's 2 frets up from my closest finger. All right? If I start there, that's my anchor point for this one. So we go, that's the second position. All right. Now, if that's my anchor, that's the middle of it, so I can also go down. So my anchor feeds the 2 up and also feeds the 2 down. So anchor first position, second position, 2 up, anchor position, 2 down. It's the same concept. That's what the most important thing is. Where that anchor is, that's like the middle of it, and it branches out both ways. Now this is a lower kind of a tone. I don't really use this one very much. But you can use it. I mainly use these. We can basically play anything that I've shown you there at any position across any of the chords that are played in a diatonic progression. I'll give you an example. Right, just a basic progression. And I'm just going to play anywhere. So you get the idea. I mean, some notes, as you can probably hear in there, are not going to sound as good as others, but there's not going to be any real clankers. Okay? All right, you can basically play over anything. And as your ear gets better, you'll sort of feel where the best places are to go. I was sort of going up and down the scale just to show you what works, what doesn't. But you can basically do anything over that. It's a very safe place to play. All right, moving on. So any of those things are going to work over any kind of progression that's diatonic to the chords. So let's say we've got a song that goes from G to D, E minor to C, right? So it's going through a couple of majors and minors, so we'll go. Right, and we use that technique. So we go. You know what I mean? you know, you get the idea. You can pretty much play anything over them. You'll get to feel what kind of works, what doesn't, but nothing is a clanger. Nothing is a clanger in it. You're pretty safe. You're very safe with this technique. Okay, so we've covered 3 different areas in which you can go with the major, just off that one chord, okay? All right, so for this next position, we're going to go off C chord, open C chord, all right? We're going to start here. So if you play an open C chord and you play these middle strings, or at least the D and the B string, right? So there's our C chord. We play those 2 from it. That's our starting point. Okay? So if we start there, it's the same formula. So if we start with these 2 fingers 1 fret apart, the next one up is going to be 2 fingers on the same fret. If we start with 2 fingers on the same fret, the next one's going to be 1 fret apart, if that makes sense. So, and it's only ever 2 positions, which is really the key to it being so simple. Just got to work out which ones are which. There's just 2 strings. So we start on 1 fret apart. We move up 1 fret. 2 fingers in the same fret. We move up 2 frets. 3. Move up in that pattern. So rather than playing that difficult bar chord, as far as when you move the C up, you can play the bar chord. It's a little bit difficult. Rather than playing that, the way we can identify the notes if we're transposing it, let's say you do it in C and you know your C, but you want to get that same position further up the neck, rather than playing that bar chord there, all you need to know is your root note. So let's say it's a D. Right? All we do is we locate that D note, right? And then we go up a string and down a fret. Right? And then we play these 2 notes here. So there's your D. We go down, half step, and then we're on that shape. Same as that shape there, right? There's your C, there's your D. So that's our starting shape. So if a song is in D, and we want to use that method, all I need to do is go, that's the root there. Even though that's a D there, those notes there are actually the 3rd increment above. Do, re, mi. So we look at the root note, and we go down to that position to get us in the right position, all right? And if you're playing a D, you just know that that's the 3rd one, and then I'm on to, and then, okay, so that's a good way to find that. You don't have to play that whole chord. You can just look at those notes there, base it off that root there. It's kind of like the arpeggio. We're just playing those 2 notes of the arpeggio. That's our starting point. And a good way to remember all of these is that wherever you start it from, if you're starting it from the number 1 position, i.e. the song's in D, we're starting it from that 1 position, then every increment up and back is going to be 2 this way and 2 that way, right? So what I mean is that there's our starting point. We change our position from there to there. And up from that position is always going to be two of the next position, right? And even if we go down, it's also going to be 2. Right? 2 up, root, 2 down. If we're in, let's say we're in E, well, we've got, where do we find E? Okay, we'll find it here. There's the root. Okay, that's our starting point. When I want to go up, I know from that anchor point, and only from that anchor point, it goes up. It changes position as far as your finger position goes. For the next 2 increments, it stays the same. And then we're on there. And then when it goes down, it's also on 2 increments. So the only anomaly is that root, because we're going here, 1 position, 2 position, 2 position, 1 position, 1 position, 2 position, 2 position. So from here we're going up 2. From there we go down 2. So when I look at that, I can think either way. Okay, I can go up. I can go. I'm not thinking notes there. I'm just thinking that pattern, and I've got that root position in my head. Down 2 of this fingering, up 2 of that fingering. And now either side of these ones, you change it and it goes up and down, up and or down twice with the original fingering. So we go up 2 and then we go change positions, and then it goes up another 2. Equally down. I mean, I can't go further down. But I mean, this would just keep going for eternity. Let's do it up here, right? F sharp. There's an F sharp. Find the position. Okay, we go down there. That's our F sharp major. That's our anchor position. All right, so from that anchor position, we can go up 2. We can go down 2. Once we go up or down 2, we can go up another 2 in the first position fingering. All right? So I'm going up 2, and then I'm going different fingering down 2, and then I get to the root, and then it changes. So that's the only one that changes. I do this little riff a lot. Just around that root. So either side of the root, it changes. But that's the only time it does. The rest always goes up in 2 fingering increments. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I know I don't really explain it that well, but I'm trying my best because I've never really explained it before. Okay, so get that under your fingers. And once you start doing all these extra ones, you'll see what the pattern is. And it's only ever those 2 different fingerings. Whether it's on the first position bar chord, second position bar chord, even when it comes to the minors. And I'll get to them in another video. I don't want to make this too comprehensive. But essentially it's the same principle, right? So from that open C position, we have that anchor point, right? Anywhere you want. Let's go to another one in C, right? And it's these 2. We all know that bar chord, right? Off the A. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to use the G and the B string. Just those 2. There's your root. There's your starting point, your anchor. And it's just these 2. So if I know I'm playing a C, I use those 2, right? And again, all we need to do, there's our anchor point. We know once we change the fingering, we can go up 2 or down 2 in that fingering. Right? Now the fingering is, that's all it is, right? Up 2, under 2, right? Song in C. Same thing. Right? Just that fingering, and all you need to know are the increments. Now we already know the increments based off the anchor point. There's only 2 positions. There's only 2 fingerings. There's that, and there's that, all the way through. We just need to know where to put them. So on the first one, we go up 1 fret, 2 frets. First fingering, 1 fret, 2 frets. Exactly the same. Same thing, you can play anything over it. You're not going to miss anywhere. No matter where you play it, it's not going to sound wrong. Might sound a bit jazzy sometimes, you could call it jazz, but you're not going to hit a clanker. And that's what we don't want. So if you want to be safe when you're playing, go to one of these. Okay, I really don't know if I can explain it any more than that, because every single one of these, it's the same concept. Okay, so we've got somewhere to go when we're in that C position. Or we've got there to go as well, and we can go as far as we want. Right, it's great. So there's another position that we can use, and that is, and again on the bottom you can use this one on the bottom, right? This is better than the one on the first position because it's another string up, so it's a little handier. So we've got the bar chord, right? Same as from when I was playing the G, we can go up, there's the root, we go up 2 frets and then slide up into the first position there. That's the first position there. So if we look at the bar chord, we know, okay, there's the first position. Alright, so it starts here and it goes up there. It's a good way to slide into it. There it is, right? Same thing. If it starts on the root, it's going to be the different fingering either side over it, and then 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, 2 down. Same thing. 2 up, 2 down, 2 up, 2 up, 2 up. All right, goes on forever. So now we've got three places to play. Okay, I want to play that first position. What do? Okay, I know I need to go to here. I look at that, go down 1 fret, play those 2. After a while, you just know, right? Play there. There's my shape. Everything is shapes, right? There's my shape. Okay, I know there's my root position. Okay, there's my root position. So this way, I'm not teaching you solos per se. It's just where to go when you want to do them. And they're so melodic to play. You're playing 2-note melodic, and they're all, in harmony with each other. It's fantastic, right? Okay, so the next one is based off the D chord, right? So, I mean, this chord is improvised a lot. You know, you'll see people using this a lot, often in this position. But there's the D position, right? I'm actually playing an A. But you'll see people doing this. You know, this position a lot. So, what this one is based off is the D, the top two strings. All right? So we're thinking of a D chord. And let's say we want to play the D, we want to play a G. So we're playing a G with the D chord, fingering, and I want to play the solo in G. So I know that there it is again, right? That's the fingering. Up two, anchor, down two. D. If it was in D. Let's say we're playing a D, we're playing a song in D, right? Okay, what are my options? Okay, well, if I imagine the D chord is here, I know that the D's there, I'm playing down here, I can look there and go, okay, well, where's the starting point? Well, if I take that and I go down, I know it's there, but it's also just above here, right? It's also almost part of that one. So so I can use this one. I'm looking there, okay, I'm looking at these two here. There's my anchor point. I can use those open strings because that's essentially showing me what the note is. Or I can use this. So, all right, so there's all these places to go now, and I really haven't even mentioned a note other than a root note of where to start, right? It's all patterns. And once you get used to visualizing these patterns based off the bar chords that we're playing, or some of the open chords, right? You can start to see a roadmap of where you need to go. You know? And the more you learn, the more these things will bleed into other things like scales and arpeggios and all these things. And it'll start to open your mind up to where all these little maps are for everything. And you'll start making connections to them. That's really why practice makes perfect, because you're just making all these little connections with the neurons in your brain, right? Getting the dexterity with your hands, but you're also sending these little, even sometimes you don't even think about it, right? That's right. When I do this, I can go here, or I know that I can do that off that, or you know, I know I can. No, I can do that, or you know, I know if I play that, I can play a major seventh there, or I can start a scale off, like my pentatonic extensions lesson. You know, you can do an arpeggio, or your arpeggio. Sorry, just lost my rim light. All right, I know I can do an arpeggio there, and that's close to where that is. You know, or that's close. Oh, that's part of that, at the top of that arpeggio. So if I go You know, if I'm here and I'm doing that and I'm looking at that and I'm going, okay, well, that's the bottom of that shape, which is also a G. Okay, and it just sort of, it all comes together in your mind. So just get those patterns in your head. And in each and every one of them, it's the same formula. And it's from those anchor points where you can go up or down from. And once you get them, you won't even have to start from the anchor points. You'll know where you are. But it's always a good way to start, to give yourself those anchor points so you've got a starting point and you don't get too confused. Yeah, so let me know if you get something from this lesson. I might do another one on minor. It's basically the same principle, but I can show you where to start and stop on all those minor bar chords and open chords. So I hope that helps, guys. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.